Okay guys, in the last video you work how to get a camp position when the person has supine, okay, when the back's on the floor and you are free to move. You're getting like just a camp, and then I explain you guys few details to try to beat the person's knee and try to pin the person down. If you missed that video, try to check it out. Now I'm going to explain about the most common reaction when the person high leg over, okay? So in the last video I explained there's 3 leg positions your partner might be. I'm going to explain again, okay? So usually when you're passing from outside pass and you find the camp position, the person has 3 leg positions when they high leg over. One is the near side shoulder. That's the way how you're going to start the video. Or the person can be in the far side shoulder, okay? Or the person can be over the shoulder like so, okay? So depends how tight you are. So if you're not too tight, the person might frame and start to go with the leg in the near side shoulder. If you're a little bit more like deep in the position, the person might try to throw. If the person is flexible, they're gonna throw the leg over the far side shoulder. If you are too deep and when the person cannot step in you, especially if you already close the gap, the person might step over your shoulder like so. Okay, I'm gonna explain you guys all 3 reactions, what you should do. So, usually here when you find this supine situation, when your partner has it back in the floor, you try to be always in blade stance. You touch the legs to one direction, you push it to one direction, and you move it with a cross step towards to the hip line. Look how I step in the same line of the hip line. Now I square my leg, and I'm looking forward to spread his legs apart. You know, my idea here is drop, get inside position with his hips, with my elbow inside his leg, okay? If I do a good job here, I can prevent the high leg over, okay? But if maybe the person is too flexible, or maybe you make a little mistake, the person high leg over, and he step on your shoulder. As soon as I get here, I do not keep my hands on the hips. If I keep the hands on the hips and I try to pass, look what's gonna happen. I'm gonna circle, 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 and he's gonna end up squaring up, and now he's gonna try to control my leg, and now I'm stuck on his guard, okay? When I see his high leg over, I'm gonna move myself a little bit vertical, just a little bit, just enough to start to circle my hands and control his leg again. Okay, so from here, he high leg over, I just move myself up and I control his leg. Okay, if you try to circle from here, it's extremely difficult. You create some space first. You move a little bit away and you circle and you control. Now I'm gonna create a little bit more of an angle towards to his head, and then I drop. Now it's the same thing as before. I try to separate his knee from his elbow, and I start to walking towards to the hip line, and I start to connect my knee on his tailbone until I stabilize, control both his hips. And now from here, I start to think about moving to the upper body, either with the near side underhook, or with the head control, moving all the way to chest on chest, and start to establish the pin. The other thing you can do, and that's the option that I like a lot. When it's high leg over, I retract my elbow and I make a C grip here from the outside. I just retract my elbow and I make a C grip. Now, I drag his leg towards to my lap and I make a cross step to close the gap close to his hips. Now, when I square my leg, usually it's going to square up. And now from here, I switch to the camp in the opposite direction. Now I start to just connect his knee from his elbow, and I'm looking forward to start to place my shoulder right in the hip line. My knee is under his legs, and I always looking to my knee go under his tailbone here, look, boom, to start to block, and you start to establish control in this kind of like a leg drag position, okay? And then it's just about moving back to chest on chest. The other reaction, you guys might face, is the person start to step in the near side shoulder, okay? So far side shoulder, like this. So now to drag his leg is going to be difficult because usually here he has maybe a hook on my hips. Okay, if I try to switch sides in this situation, it will be difficult. So what I do, I retract my elbow and I start to control his leg. And now this hand that is on the knee, I go to his leg and I'm looking forward to go to north-south position. Okay, I start to do lateral step until I pass the hip line. Now look at how one of my elbows start to get inside. Okay, I have my elbows inside and I start to create a slight angle towards the side. Okay, if I move towards my left side, I'm gonna push with my right hands his knee down. I push his knee down and I start to tripod on him. Usually here, this knee is gonna come in on my shoulder. I bring my hands inside and I chop everything down. in this direction. Look, his knee coming inside, my hands coming inside, and push everything down. And I was looking forward to my shoulder drop on the hip line, and I establish this pin in north-south. Look how my shoulders in the hip line, my head position go to the near side hip, and I have this north-south position here to pin him down. I can be either here, or I can be with my forehead on his belly button. Okay, when I start to bring his inside, it's very, very difficult. When I start to bring his inside, it's very, very difficult. And then I can establish the pin in north-south. Okay? So one more time with this one. So maybe I start to create angle, and this time Cash start to throw his leg towards to my far side shoulder. When I see this type of situation, right away I go 1, 2, and I start to move towards the north-south. Okay, I do not keep facing the frame, I change the angle of the position. I create a slight angle, my elbow starts to come inside, and I start to push his leg down and drop. As I drop, usually his knee comes inside. Okay, in this position, I bring my hands inside, I chop everything down, and I start to drop my shoulder. From here, I can connect my hands or not. I make sure I maintain my elbows tight, my shoulder in the hip line. I can maintain my knees off the floor, or I can be with one of my knee between his head, and I establish the pin. Okay? And the last reaction you guys might face is when the person step the leg over your shoulder. So if this leg go over the shoulder, I let it go the hands that I have inside, and I start to go to the outside. Kind of like a leg trap grip. Okay, when I make a grip close to his thigh. Okay, usually this leg here, even if he has a leg inside, I always looking for it to start to go around the leg. Okay, when I get here, I looking forward to my knee start to pin his bottom leg. Look how my hands is doing the job of control his bottom leg. I control his bottom leg here, and now I start to pin his leg down. Okay, from here there's two common reaction. They're gonna might try to open this knee and face me. Okay, or it's gonna try to bring this leg over the shoulder. Okay, I always gonna try to maintain my head tight to prevent both of the situation. Now the hands that are busy on the knee, I can let it go because my knee is in the position now. Okay, from here I make a grip on his knee, and when I drag his knee, I drag all the way down and I look to the leg. Okay, so this is very important. So I'm here, look how my knee control his hips. I have control, my head is tight on his leg to don't let him either bring this leg here, or don't let him open his knee. Okay, I maintain everything tight here. Now I go to a knee tap, I pull the leg towards my left, I look all the way back, and now I cover the hips. And now I start to tripod again. I'm gonna try to bring my head to the far side shoulder, and start to tripod again. If he can't start to move away from me, same idea. I move towards the hips, and I repeat the process until my knee go to his tailbone, and I establish the pin. Okay? So now let's try to see all three in action, okay? So I'm gonna get aside, and he's gonna make all three reactions, and I'm gonna address the situation. So guys, when you're passing through outside, you need to expect the person high leg over. It's the most common reaction. The person's gonna try to make a cross frame pose, and they will let go over. Okay, be ready and try to make those three adjustments when you have to.